With RMU women's basketball head coach Sal Buscaglia announcing his retirement following the 2015-16 season, RMUColonials.com took time to sit down with Coach Sal and associate head coach Charlie Buscaglia to talk about a career that has spanned 4 decades, from Hilbert College in Buffalo to now his 13th season at Robert Morris.
I remember sitting in the cafeteria when the athletic director at the time, John Kissel, God rest his soul, approached me about starting a women's basketball team. I could tell you the table I was at, the time I was there, and I was an assistant professor, actually, of business. But I had some basketball background and really loved the game, and he thought it'd be a great idea to start a women's basketball team. So I remember that moment very well, where I was sitting and everything such as that. And I certainly do remember the first game. It was against Jamestown Community College, and they were actually a very, very good junior college team. Probably could compete against a lot of four-year teams, so we had to play away. We didn't have a gym to practice in. We had to use a small high school gym. We didn't have a locker room. We didn't have a trainer. We didn't have uniforms. So in the beginning of that game, we scored the first 2 points, but it was downhill from all there. And but the feeling was I saw how other women could play basketball, and I said, maybe this is something I can really sink my teeth into. Robert Morris, we started out with junior college kids because, as Dr. Halfaker, asked me, she said, Sal, we've lost for so many years. Can you turn this around? I said, me and Charlie will turn this around. We'll turn it around, but we have a plan.
We had first year we got here, we inherited a team that was very challenging, and there was a lot of injuries, and we had to change the culture because there were some good players here, good kids, but we had to change the culture of an attitude. But then after we got our first recruiting class in, we went to 20 wins right off the bat, and then that was great, and we almost won it. We went to the conference championship, but we didn't get over the hump yet. We didn't get to the tournament. 06, 07, we got to the tournament, and then the March Madness now was here, and people felt it then. They said, oh, my God, you're on ESPN, you're on the Storm in the Court. And I think at that point, was the turning point where then, we went back again the next year to the tournament, and we had back-to-back championship seasons. And I think then the culture had changed.
Now that we've gotten Robert Morris, to one of the elite teams in the NEC and brought him to numerous national tournaments, NCAA, WNIT, and a WNBI, and we're always seems to be competing for the title. We know now that we've made our mark, both around Pittsburgh and we made mark nationally, that Robert Morris is a very good mid-major team. Into this last season here, it's a little bit of anxiousness, but not anxiousness, maybe a little bit of nervousness, because I've enjoyed the experience a great deal. Certainly there's ups and downs in any job but I think when you're with young ladies for all these times, and you're with them when they call you when you're sick, when they have a family member, I think I'm going to miss trying to help them. But I'm still going to be part of the program in an administrative sense, so hopefully I'll still have some limited contact with them, because I don't think I could totally do it cold turkey, quite honestly. So, but not being on the sidelines and not being the main person and not really coaching, because that won't be my role to coach, and not recruiting. It's going to be a little different. But I think I'm doing a pretty good job of focusing on this season, because this season is not the last for many of these kids. The last for a few of them, like Ashley and a few other kids. But it's not, and Leah, but it's not Randy as well. But it's not the last season for many of them. So I don't want the focus to be on me. Like everybody tells me, let's win a championship. That's not, your last season. That's not what's important. What's important is that this team wins a championship for them, not for Coach Sal. It's for them, just like any team. So I'm not taking it from the perspective that it's going to be special to go out with a win. No matter what happens, it is for these young ladies who give everything they have to myself, to Coach B, every day. I want them to win a championship just for them. It does not for me. None of this, from Manhattan on through to Robert Morris. And I know it's sort of, people think it's really biased because he's my son, but that should not take away what Charlie has done. Without him at my side, this would have never been a reality.